And I welcome the opportunity to speak on this, and I wish the Minister all the best in his new role. And the first person to be killed in the world was in Ireland, actually, back in Mary Ward. She was the first person in the world to be killed by an automobile accident, and she fell under the wheels of a motor vehicle while she was travelling in Birr, County Offaly, in 1869. And since then, Minister, the amount of deaths on our roads is just catastrophic. And so today, as I speak, 63 people alone have died this year as of the 16th of April. That represents a 15% increase on the same period last year. Now, by any means, there's serious questions here for yourself, for the government and the Road Safety Authority. 1/3 were 25 or younger. Of that number of people, and they're all people, not statistics, 12 were pedestrians, 26 were drivers, 19 were passengers, 4 were motorcyclists, and 2 were cyclists. And you know what's extraordinary? We're told that the road deaths per million inhabitants, per million in Ireland, is below the EU average. So you can imagine what it's like in Europe. But we had the worst percentage increase of any country over that period, notwithstanding the work of the Road Safety Authority. We have the third highest level of deaths on rural roads in the EU. 188 people died in 177 fatal collisions in 2023, an increase of 21%. 32 more people lost their life, families devastated, than in 22. And Galway City and County recorded 13 fatalities. And those figures, I could go on. But what lessons do I want to draw from them? How is this happening? Well, we know that alcohol is a major feature, I think, in over 1/3 of them. Alcohol and lack of enforcement. And we have the Garda Commissioner telling us that that's not a problem, as I understand it, to paraphrase what was said at the Public Accounts Committee. But as at the end of February this year, there were 627 members assigned to the Guards Roads Policing Unit. That compares with 1,046 in 2009. 1,046 in 2009, and now we're at 627. Straight look, right, set out here. And then in Galway, we have 37, the lowest ever, I think, in relation to the availability of staff. Galway, 47 back in 2009, 37 now. A lot more cars on the road and much less enforcement. The Road Safety Authority, we all have received a letter from 30 community groups, 4 of them from Galway, the Galway Cycle Bus, the Galway Cycling Campaign. I particularly list them out because they've done fantastic work on the ground. Wheels of Athenry, More Action, Earn More. They're 4 just in Galway out of 30 community groups. And I'm sad to say that they're telling us they have lost faith in the Road Safety Authority. And they go on to talk about the emphasis being put on young children as opposed to the people who are breaking the law and enforcement and so on. Now that's difficult to read because I actually have empathy for the Road Safety Authority because they've been underfunded. They were supposed to be self-funded with the NCT and the driving testing. That's not possible. This is a catastrophe. So you need to take a hands-on approach in relation to this matter. Then there's an absence of data, which I understand from an earlier comment from your speech that that's now going to be sorted out, is it, Minister, in relation to the GDPR. But Dr. Kevin Kildea, Research Fellow at Lund University in Sweden, he caught this in a nutshell. He said Irish officials responsible for road safety interventions are shooting in the dark because they're unable to access collision data. And so if that's been sorted out, I welcome that. Then we have the local authorities being given flexibility, which is problematic enough. But on top of that, we have them under-resourced. I spent 17 years of my life there, and they're more under-resourced now than they ever were with lack of. So that's something that has to be tackled in relation to if we're serious about that. Just in my last 2 minutes, I'd like to focus on water safety because it's ignored. And while we're talking about deaths on the road, the figures, Corla, are extraordinary also in relation to water safety. So over a 5-year period, between 2017 and 21, there were 1,298 deaths on the road and water. 1,298 over 5 years. 45% of them were in the water. 45% of those deaths were in the water. And this information is courtesy of the Shábháilteacht, the Uisce na hÉireann. And I happened to meet the acting deputy CEO last week. Majority of these drownings are in their own county. The majority are male. No life jacket, suicide 35%. Extraordinary figures here, overestimating their ability. Cold shock and so on, and poor equipment. The figures are absolutely shocking. And again, what I read in this and with the meeting with them, that it's really possible to stop this. However, they're working on a tiny budget, just like the Road Safety Authority. The education, the programme that they have is absolutely superb, but again, it's limited to small groups. They've done tremendous work with it. They talk about education, awareness and so on. But unless you as Minister and the government takes a hand-on approach, it's not going to happen. Proper funding, the people that are employed and the volunteers with them are just doing a superb job, but they can't go. This is a catastrophe, the amount of deaths on our road and in our waterways. And just on that, in the waterways, it's extraordinary. Again, the figures, 26% of our population thinks swimming is an unnecessary life skill, and 32% never swim. So that's just the background to wasted lives and terrible tragedies and a terrible legacy left in families, to our health service on every level, mental health, physical health and so on. I'm appealing to you, Minister, to take a hands-on approach in relation to this.